Hey beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jamila and I love all things beauty. I love all things makeup. I love all things skincare, and I especially love sharing my tips and tricks for how to find high-end and luxury beauty products at bargain prices. If that sounds like something you're interested in, I would absolutely love if you would consider subscribing and joining the fam. I don't know why I just winked at y'all, but we just gonna go with it. I have been filming for several hours now. I have not eaten anything at all today. It is almost 2 o'clock. It's 1:42 p.m. and I am hungry, tired, a little bit thirsty if we're being honest, because I've only had coffee so far, so let me have a little bit of water. But I wanted to do at least 4 videos for you guys. I have been in a filming funk. I've just been like kind of out of it lately, and I just got a little burst of energy to like film. So I'm doing a bunch of videos today. And I kind of like pulled a lot of these things out of thin air, if we're being honest. So I usually keep a list of video ideas, things that I want to film, things that I want to talk about. And when I have time, I just kind of like pull from it and have that conversation. So for today's video, I thought that I would tell you guys about makeup that I almost purchased. Like things that was in my cart, ready to hit like, click, you know, let's go. And then I didn't. And I wanted to do this video because, as you guys know, I've been sharing my thoughts on my makeup budget, the things that I've been purchasing, things that I've been selling, you know, just reflecting on my collection and specifically on how much money I am spending on makeup. And with that, what has been helping me is kind of like taking a step back when there are new releases and really figuring out, is this something that you really want? Do you want it now because like you want to film with it, or is it something that you could wait on and get later? So I have been sort of like writing down things that are kind of on my wish list, things that I want to purchase, and sometimes I'll go back to it and be like, I don't really want this. And I thought that it's really good it would be really good for me to take stock of the things that, you know, I really wanted, that was on my wish list, and now that I've had like time to reflect on it, I no longer care really, although that there are some things that I'm like, well, maybe not now, maybe I will get it. So like this is just kind of like the makeup that I almost purchased, like was really close to purchasing but stopped myself, kind of why I stopped myself and where I'm at what now with it. Like, will I still purchase it, or is it something that I've kind of gotten rid of? So I'm gonna scooch a little bit over to the side so I can insert some pictures, because obviously I don't have them here. And we will dive in. Okay, so the first thing that I have, and all of these are eyeshadow for the most part, you guys. Y'all know I'm out here like not buying anything else besides eyeshadow. The first palette that I want to talk about is the Give Me Glow Haunted Pumpkin palette. This was such a good, cute palette. And it's really funny to me because I was so excited by this, knowing that I don't like the Give Me Glow formula. It's something that I've talked openly about in terms of I'm not a huge fan of the mattes. I'm just like, it's not for me. I do think that they mentioned that they had tweaked and improved the formula a little bit, so that did pique my interest. But more importantly, it was the color story. I love orange. I love that kind of like orangey green, kind of like Halloween color story. But this palette released after Halloween, and I don't know if that was an accident or not, because I believe it released on Black Friday. So we talk in November, you all. So the timing of it felt very off for me. It was released when everything else was on sale, and I had all of these other products that I was going to purchase. So I was spending so much money that I knew that I would not be willing to pick that up, because it wasn't going to be on sale. So they had all these other products on sale. It wasn't going to be the sale price. It would be paying full price for it. I don't believe in paying full price for products. You guys know this. So that is what helped push it away from me. And then after reflecting on it, I had so many Halloween themed palettes, like the Spooked palette from Gourmand Girls, which I think is stunning, amazing, that I had so much of that purple green orange color story that it would have been really redundant in my collection. And then I saw a video from Bree Beauty, I think is her channel. I'll link it down below or put it in text here. And I saw her swatch the palette, and I was not impressed. And I get it, swatches don't tell us the full picture, but when I saw the swatches that she had, I was just like, oh, not necessary. So that actually helped me get rid of it completely. And she used the palette, and I just thought that it was nice. It wasn't bad by any means. I'm not saying it was bad swatches or it applied or looked bad for her, but it wasn't anything that really stood out to me that, you know, made me feel like I made the wrong decision not to get the palette. So I just decided that it's okay, I don't need that, and I was completely fine with it. And right now I'm at the point where I don't think I would ever pick it up. Okay, the next thing that I almost picked up was the Chanel Tweed collection. Now, I don't know if I was going to pick up all of it or a couple of it because those palettes were expensive. I think each one was about $88, which is more than their regular quads. Their typical quads cost $65, but because the Tweed collection came in a tweed dust bag, which... such a waste because we're not using that dust bag for anything other than to hold them Chanel quads, and that was like a $20 price increase for a dust bag. Yeah. And you know what? That was part of the reason why I was like, absolutely not, because they were already overpriced at $65 as is, because the Chanel palettes are really small. They don't have a ton of product. The Chanel formula isn't exactly the most revolutionary formula out there, so they were already overpriced. And then to charge 65, to charge 88. Oh no. So that was what was made. So that was one of the things that made me very clear that I was not going to use it. And then thankfully, I saw a lot of reviews, specifically from darker creators, like my girl Daphne at Daps Makeup, and I will have her Instagram linked for you guys to check out, as well as she just started a YouTube channel, so go subscribe. But she is a luxury makeup lover, true, and she typically buys a lot of Chanel makeup. So she bought the Tweed quads and she swatched it, and I was just like, they're nice, but okay. Like, it wasn't anything special. Like, I think the pictures made it look really good, and I think what also helped it to stand out is the fact that the quads, because it was the Tweed collection, they had the Tweed embossing in them. And I apologize that I now look really orange. I film in natural light, and the sun has been going in and out of clouds, which is changing my coloring. So, apologies. It is what it is, y'all. As I was saying, because it had the Tweed embossing, it looked really nice. It had this beautiful texture. It was gorgeous. It was stunning. And I love that they had 4 different options. So you could choose between cool tone, more like gold, even like pinky. So you had a bunch of options to go for. But I think that, one, it's overpriced. Still is that $88 price tag because they don't exactly go on sale. And yeah, Chanel Beauty never goes on sale. And it seemed like from the swatches, it was very lackluster and not necessarily anything worth purchasing. So that is one that I took off of my wish list just for good. The next product that I want to talk about is the Sugar Drizzle Frog Palette. I don't think it's called the Frog Palette, but it's that green one. I will have a picture of it inserted here. So I remember when I saw that and I was like, yes, gimme, gimme, gimme. And it was to the point where I was driving. I don't know where I was going. I think I was going to Panera or somewhere. I remember distinctly being in my car. I think I was coming back from Panera because I went to pick up my lunch. And I was sitting in my car waiting for this to like launch so that I could hit purchase, and it sold out within like seconds. It was gone, and I felt so sad because I really wanted it. Because the other thing too about the palette is that when it first released, one of the issues that Sugar Drizzle has been having is that their shadows are coming in just like over emollient to the point where the oils in the shadows are seeping out into the packaging, and there's oil stainage on the packaging. So they had actually created a set of palettes that were discounted for, I believe, like 50% off, where you could get the the palettes that had the oil seepage. The oils doesn't affect the quality of the shadows, anything like that. It just looked bad, which if you're purchasing a product, you shouldn't get products that have any sort of flaws in it. So I'm glad that they discounted it. So that's what I was trying to get, the cheap palette, the cheap palette with the flaws, but I couldn't get it, and I couldn't even get the full regular palette for full price because it sold out so much. And I thought I'd pick it up at restock, and when it restocked, I was like, do I really need it? No, it's a green palette, and I think that I've also come to this point in my journey that monochromatic palettes don't sit well with me. I need my palette to be able to do multiple things. Now, if you're gonna give me like a 10-15 pan eyeshadow palette and all I could get is a green look, absolutely not. Maybe a 9-pan palette, because I get it, 9 shades, you could be limited in that. Hell, even a quad or 6 shades. But don't give me 15 shades, 10 to 15 shades, and tell me all I could do is green. That is not going to work for me. So because it was so monochromatic and it was just green on green on green on green, and while I like green eyeshadow, I need more versatility, I decided it wasn't worth it for me to pick it up. And I think one of the things that I've come to like understand with like, Sugar Drizzle and all these other very small indie brands, and I've talked about this before, is that they are private labeled formulas. So chances are I have those shades elsewhere. And Sugar Drizzle has repeated shades in the past in their own lineup. So, you know, after really reflecting on it and getting past the hype of it being this beautiful green eyeshadow palette, because it was stunning, y'all, you can see, I just realized that I didn't really need it, and I don't think that I would have loved it or used it as much as I convinced myself that I would. So I just kind of like gave up trying to get it and like gave up actually wanting it in general. It just kind of was like, you know what, I don't actually really want this. And I think that's the importance of like really giving yourself time to like pause and reflect and realize that you don't want something, because it's fine to not want something. The next thing I want to talk about is the Juvia's Place Culture and Coffee palette. Now this is a neutral eyeshadow palette, you guys can see. It is stunning, it's beautiful, you know, and there was a point where, and I'm pretty much back in that point now, where all I wanted to do was wear neutral eyeshadow, and I bought a shit ton of neutral eyeshadow palettes. You'll see, I have a whole like rankings video just based on all of the new neutral eyeshadow palettes that I bought, and I think it's like 15 or a little bit less, so team too much. And it was beautiful, it was stunning, and I was like, I want this. I don't use my Juvia's Place shadows. So my dumbass is sitting there like ready to buy a palette knowing that I don't use my Juvia's Place shadows. Like I have all of my Juvia's Place shadows in a little basket underneath my desk here because I'm trying to convince myself to like either I'm going to use this or I'm going to get rid of it. There's absolutely no reason for me to have all of these Juvia's Place shadows, and they're not bad quality at all. Like the Juvia's Place formula is really nice, but I just don't reach for it. And if I'm not reaching for it, there's no reason for me to like have it here. And I don't think that me adding a neutral palette was gonna make me reach for it anymore. So like, even though like I saw people like use it, and that was the thing too, I saw people use it, I saw people buy it and review it, and they were like, this is actually really good, this is really nice. And I'm like, I'm sure it is. One, neutral shadows are, as I understand it, easier to make than other formulas and other colors, so it should be pretty solid quality. And two, Juvia's Place has had good eyeshadow quality, so it should be good. And it just because it is good doesn't mean that I need to buy it, especially when I have neutral palettes that I, one, just went crazy purchasing, and two, have had a bunch of before. So yeah, I think I promised you guys a neutrals video, like the best neutral palettes. I'll make note of that so that I can actually do that video. Okay, next up, the Dior Khaki palette. This was a really cute one that I saw come out. Again, it was another green palette. Dior is one of those brands that gives you that sort of soft vibe, so it's definitely not super high shine sparkly makeup. And I thought the Khaki palette looked stunning. It was gorgeous. And I thought that it had depth, but then I saw people buy it and use it. And when I tell you that thing was light and ashy on people who are light and ashy, they're not ashy, I'm just kidding. But people who are light and maybe light mediums bought it and they were like, it's not deep enough. That was like all of the red flags that I needed. Because if you several shades lighter than me and you're like, this is too light, then obviously that's not going to work for my complexion. So I'm really glad that I did not pick it up. But it is one that when I saw that green, because it was that kind of like cool tone army green, like grungy looking palette, I was like, give me. And it turned out to just be ash. So yeah, that didn't work out well. Then we have the Terra Moon's Wanderer palette. This was, I think, such a cute color story. The Terra Moon's formula is superb, especially if you like that hyper sparkly indie makeup style of makeup. But it was a lot of blues, and it was just a color story that it didn't call to me. And I think that I spent a lot of time trying to convince myself that I wanted that palette. I spent a lot of time trying to convince myself to buy that palette, especially because Terra Moon's is known for the single shadows. And the fact that they were releasing a palette, it made me feel like, oh, this is a good deal. You can get it at a discount. You can try their matte formula. And I realized that I was talking myself into purchasing a palette that I didn't want. And then they had a 25% off sale. And I was like, well, if it's going to be 25% off, I might as well buy it. It wasn't included. So that helped me to not pick it up as well, because I wasn't willing to pay full price for it, especially because it wasn't a color story that I fell in love with. No, I don't know why I was like so hyped on it, and it just like stuck in my head rent free for a very long time. But I'm at the point now where I just realize I don't want it, because it's not one that I would get a ton of use out of. As beautiful as the Terra Moon shades are, that wouldn't be the palette for me. It's kind of like when I bought that Cleona Dragon Fruit palette, because I'm like, ooh, let me try Cleona, and it's been decluttered because it's not worth it, and it's not worth it simply to try the brand in a palette form. Okay, the next thing that I skipped out on was the Lunar Beauty Advent Calendar. I also don't know why I wanted this. I think I bought it because I thought about buying it because it was a cool concept. The fact that you get an advent calendar where you are basically building a palette every single day, I thought it was cool. Looking back now, it wasn't that cool because you just add one new shadow every day. If you are someone that uses advent calendars the way in which they're intended to be used, which is like open one a day, like you would get one shadow and then another shadow, like to completely look like you need the full palette to make the eye look. I also think that the color story was kind of just thrown together. I didn't think that it was very cohesive. I didn't really get if it had a theme or anything. The theme didn't match the box for sure, so it was very confusing to me in a lot of ways in terms of the color story. So while I thought it was a cool concept, and while that was also the point where I was realizing that I really like the Lunar Beauty formula, it was just not gonna work for me. So yeah. Okay, the next thing that I almost bought, the Glam Light Chalky palette. Y'all, that was bomb.com, and I still want it. I will tell you guys that up straight up. Now, Glam Light is a brand that does have a lot of sales, and their sales are usually 30 to 40% off, so pretty, you know, sizable discount. So I was like, I'm gonna wait for a sale because I don't want to pay full price for it. And I still feel comfortable with that decision because I do think that while I like that palette, it's very grungy. It is relatively monochromatic, if we're being honest. It has those kind of reds and silvers, so it doesn't give a lot of versatility in my opinion. Grungy, reddish, silvery kind of palette, so which is fine, totally fine. But with that being said, and because I know how much sales Glam I have, I don't think that I'm willing to pay full price for it. Plus, I was kind of hoping that it would end up in TJ Maxx, if we're being honest. I don't know if it will. I have seen some of Glam Light's palettes end up in TJ Maxx, like their Frosted Flakes palettes, a lot of their Hershey's palettes, those have all ended up there. But I haven't seen the Scooby-Doo collection, and that was a really popular one. And I assume that because this one is so popular, it might not end up there either. And I really want to get this one too because I am hoping it's the same new updated formula that the Scooby-Doo palettes have. If it is, it'd be awesome. So definitely want to give that one a try. It's still on my wish list. I still want it, but not at full price. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is the Clarity Mermaid palette. This is another one that I don't know why I was super interested in it because I don't think I would like the Clarity formula because it's so similar to the Give Me Glow formula. Plus Clarity is one of those brands that had those giant pans and I was like not about it. Now the reason why I wanted the Mermaid palette is because they had smaller pans. That was like a godsend that they had this little palette. It was a 9-pan palette and it was smaller pan sizes and I think it was like $24, $25. So the price too was like perfection. Now the reason why this fell off of my list is because Dr. Ash and her makeup, she actually purchased it and she did a review on it. And one of the things that she pointed out, and it was very evident in her demo, is that a lot of those shades very similar to each other. It was a very monochromatic mermaid kind of like blue-green palette. So a lot of these shades were that kind of like blue, teal, turquoise vein, which you can tell they're different when they're laid out in a palette. But like with a lot of shades that are like that, when you start putting them on the eyes and you lay them next to each other, they blend into the same shade. So when you think you're getting 9 shades, you're really getting 6. So, and when she pointed out a lot of that, it made me realize that this isn't something that I want. It is one that you get like also because it's monochromatic, not a huge versatility in terms of the looks that you can create, but mainly because so many of the shades looked so similar, it just didn't feel like I was getting the value for picking that up. So I decided that I didn't want it and I have not thought about it since. Okay, let me scooch, that was it. Let me scooch back into the middle. Okay, so that was it for me, guys. Those are all of the palettes that I almost bought. I probably should count up and tell you guys how much money I saved because that would be great. So I'll insert a little thing here of how much money that I saved by not buying those products, which is a nice way to think about it. At the end of the day, like you didn't buy something that you know you didn't want, you paused, you took time to reflect, and now you've like saved a bunch of money, which is great. If you liked this video, which I hope you did, I hope you will hit that like button. Please give me a comment down below letting me know about the palettes or the products that you almost purchased and didn't, and why you didn't purchase them, or if they're products that are still living in your head rent free and you're hoping to get them at a later point at a sale. Leave all of that in the comments below. If you are not yet subscribed, what is you doing? You can tell it's a vibe over here. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on any time I upload a new video. And that's it for me today, guys, in like total. I am done filming for the day. I can feel my voice going. Your girl is starving and getting to that hungry point, and I'm getting a little bit of a hunger headache too, so this is it. See my voice starting to do things. We done. As always, thank you guys so very much for watching. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye!